Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Star Wars channel. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe it's been a long day in your own galaxy, or maybe you're simply ready to drift into the stars, where peace, balance, and destiny whisper like wind through the Force. There's nothing you need to do now but rest. Let your breathing slow. Let your thoughts soften like ships floating through hyperspace, and let your heart grow still. Because tonight, we're not just falling asleep. We're beginning a journey through the mysteries of the Force itself. From its ancient origins to its quiet presence in every breath. From the wisdom of the Jedi to the passion of the Sith, to the balance of the wanderers in between. This is your peaceful voyage through 100 sleepy reflections about the energy that binds the galaxy together. You are safe here, held gently by the hum of distant stars and the soft glow of forgotten worlds. So close your eyes, sink into your pillows, and allow the Force to guide you into a night of deep, restful sleep. May the peace of the galaxy and the warmth of the Force be with you, always. 1. The first breath of the galaxy. In the beginning, before hyperspace lanes and ancient empires, there was only a quiet stirring in the dark, a soft pulse, a trembling spark, the first whisper of what would one day be known as the Force. It moved like a breeze through a sleeping cosmos, shaping stars, gathering dust, awakening life from silence. Some say this first breath is still felt today, a faint echo in meditation, a stillness inside every moment of calm. And as worlds began to glow against the void, the Force flowed gently through them, weaving the great tapestry of destiny. And from that breath, countless stories began to rise. 2. Energy that binds all living things. Long before the Jedi spoke of balance, the galaxy itself understood the sacred truth. Every creature, every leaf, every drifting mote of stardust was connected. The Force was the thread, luminous and endless, holding all things close, not with chains, but with harmony. When a being breathed, the Force breathed with them. When a planet flourished, the Force grew brighter. And when someone acted with kindness or cruelty, ripples flowed outward, touching distant stars. This binding energy was never meant to judge, only to join, to unify the living galaxy in one gentle embrace. And in that embrace, a deeper wisdom waited. 3. The luminous web beneath reality. Beneath every step taken on sand or snow, beneath every choice made in shadow or light, the Force spun a delicate web, unseen, but always present. Jedi sensed it during meditation, seeing strands of possibility glimmer like soft starlight. Mystics of ancient worlds believed that this web held the memories of every being who had ever existed, woven together in a timeless weave. To touch it was to brush against destiny itself, to feel the warmth of lives long faded and dreams yet to be born. This luminous lattice is the quiet foundation of all things, humming patiently beneath existence. And somewhere within its glow, another mystery waits to be found. 4. Wellspring of light and shadow. In the deepest hush of the universe, the Force rests like a great well, endless, patient, and timeless. From this still reservoir flows both the warmth of compassion and the chill of fear, the two halves of existence held together in delicate balance. The ancient philosophers believed that the Force did not choose sides. It simply reflected the hearts of those who touched it. A gentle soul drew forth healing and clarity. A troubled mind stirred storms and shadows. Yet beneath it all, the wellspring remained serene, as though reminding every traveler that light and darkness were merely passing ripples across an eternal surface. And as those ripples faded, a new truth began to shine. 5. The Force's eternal rhythm. Every galaxy turns to a quiet rhythm, a steady heartbeat older than time. This pulse is the rhythm of the Force, guiding the growth of forests, the drifting of nebulae, and the destinies of heroes who have not yet been born. Jedi Masters would meditate for hours simply listening for this universal drum, letting its peaceful cadence wash over them like a tide. When they breathed in, the galaxy seemed to breathe with them. When they exhaled, the stars felt a little closer. To live in harmony with this rhythm was to move with grace through the unfolding tapestry of life. And within that rhythm, the next revelation softly awakens. 6. Whispers in the galactic void. Between the shimmering constellations, where darkness stretches unbroken, the Force speaks in whispers. Not words, not commands, just sensations, drifting like faint melodies through hyperspace. Pilots who traveled alone for too long sometimes swore they could feel these whispers, brushing against their thoughts like cool fingers. Ancient wanderers believed the void carried the purest voice of the Force, unburdened by fear, hope, or ambition. It was simply presence, quiet, watchful, eternal. And in that gentle emptiness, one could find rare clarity, a moment when the universe felt impossibly vast and intimately close at the same time. And from that quiet closeness, another legend begins to unfold. 7. Mortis, the realm of balance. Far beyond the familiar lanes of hyperspace lies a place untouched by ordinary time, a realm known only in whispers as Mortis. Here, the Force does not flow through life. It is life. 3 ancient beings once dwelled there, each embodying a different facet of the Force's eternal dance. The world shifted with their moods, blossoming with light or darkening with storm. Travelers who found Mortis often described the experience like drifting inside a dream, unreal, symbolic, yet deeply true. Mortis was not meant to be a destination, but a mirror, showing all who entered the balance they carried within. And from that mirror, another mystery gently emerges. 8. The Ones, embodiments of the Force. In the quietest corners of Jedi lore, there are hushed stories of 3 powerful beings. The daughter, radiant as dawn, the son, fierce as a midnight storm, and the father, who held them in fragile harmony. They were not gods, the ancients said, but embodiments of what already lived within every being touched by the Force. The daughter's compassion, the son's turmoil, the father's equilibrium. Each flowed through the hearts of all who walked the galaxy. To learn of the Ones was to see the Force not as an idea, but as a living family of energies, always in motion, always seeking balance. And from their legacy, the next truth begins to glow. 9. The Song of Creation and Renewal. Some Force mystics believed the universe began with a single note, a soft tone that echoed through emptiness, shaping stars the way music shapes emotion. They called it the Song of Creation, a melody still heard in quiet forests, drifting tides, and the gentle hum of lightsabers. Whenever life faltered, the song would rise again, encouraging renewal, guiding broken worlds back toward harmony. Jedi healers closed their eyes and listened for this ancient tune, letting it guide their hands and hearts. Even now, across the galaxy, that primordial music continues, a reminder that every ending is only a pause before another beginning. And from that beginning, a new tale drifts into view. 10. The subtle pulse in every star. Every star in the galaxy shines with its own quiet heartbeat, a shimmering rhythm that ripples through the Force like soft music carried on solar winds. Jedi scholars believe this pulse was a reminder that even the mightiest celestial bodies were part of the same living tapestry as the smallest seed sprouting in distant soil. When masters meditated beneath open skies, they could sometimes sense this stellar cadence, as if each star whispered, "You are not alone." That gentle glow, steady through millennia, tethered the galaxy to an ancient harmony. And from that harmony, the next chapter softly begins to unfold. 11. The Celestials, architects of the stars. Long before Jedi or Sith shaped history, mysterious beings known as the Celestials moved silently through the galaxy. Their touch could raise planets, carve superstructures, or reshape the flow of space itself. Yet they rarely revealed themselves. Legends say the Celestials did not rule, but guided, ensuring that life had room to flourish, grow, and dream. Some believe they created worlds strong with the Force, leaving behind monuments that still hum with forgotten purpose. To contemplate the Celestials is to imagine a time when the galaxy was young, when ancient hands shaped destiny with care rather than conquest. And from those ancient hands, another lineage of wisdom emerges. 12. The Prime Jedi of Ahch-To. On the sacred island of Ahch-To, surrounded by windswept seas and quiet stone, the earliest Jedi left their first mark upon the world. At the heart of the temple lies an ancient mosaic, the Prime Jedi, depicted in perfect balance, one hand extended toward light, the other toward shadow. This image is older than recorded history, older even than the Republic's earliest memory. It reminds seekers that the Jedi did not begin as warriors or generals, but as explorers of harmony, seeking understanding rather than victory. The Prime Jedi's calm gaze invites all who enter the temple to seek peace within themselves before seeking it in the galaxy. And in that peaceful invitation, another story waits to awaken. 13. The First Temples, under twin suns. Long before lightsabers hummed or starships crossed the lanes of hyperspace, early Force seekers built their first humble sanctuaries on remote worlds. Some of these temples rose beneath the glow of twin suns, their stones warmed by gentle daylight and cooled by whispering winds at dusk. These structures were simple, quiet places of reflection carved into cliffs or nestled among ancient trees. Travelers would arrive with questions heavy in their hearts, only to find clarity in the silence. The Force seemed to pool in these spaces, like water collecting in a calm basin. Those who meditated there often felt as though the galaxy itself was breathing beside them. And from those sunlit stones, a new age quietly blossomed. 14. Guardians of the Kyber Mountain. High upon sacred worlds like Elam and Jeddah, great mountains of Kyber crystal glimmered beneath layers of frost and stone. These mountains were not merely mineral formations. They were living reservoirs of the Force, singing in tones too soft for most ears to hear. Ancient guardians watched over them, protectors who understood that Kyber was more than a tool for crafting lightsabers. It was a companion, a teacher, a silent witness to the dreams and struggles of countless generations. Pilgrims climbed these icy slopes, seeking a crystal that resonated with their spirit, guided by intuition and inner stillness. In the glow of the crystals, they often felt a sense of belonging that transcended words. And from that luminous glow, another whisper of history drifts forth. 15. The Zepho Sages and Their Winds. Across the forgotten world of Zepho, colossal statues once stood watch over green valleys and swirling tempests. The Zepho sages believed the wind was the purest expression of the Force, neither seen nor grasped, yet always felt. They learned to read its patterns, to listen to its moods, and to move in harmony with its flow. Their temples echoed with the sound of stone chimes stirred by passing breezes, creating ancient songs that could ease even the most restless mind. Although their civilization faded long ago, their teachings linger like a gentle draft, a reminder that the Force is not always loud or radiant. Sometimes it is simply the wind brushing softly across open fields. And in that quiet breeze, the next truth begins to rise. 16. The Dai Bendu monks of harmony. Long before the word Jedi echoed through the galaxy, there were the Dai Bendu, humble monks who studied the Force not as warriors, but as quiet observers of its flow. They lived atop cold, snowy plateaus where wind carved soft patterns in the ice, and the silence stretched like an endless meditation. Wrapped in robes the color of dawn, the monks watched the movement of stars and tides, believing that everything in nature revealed a lesson. Their symbol, a circular harmony emblem, represented the unity of all things: motion and stillness, light and shadow, self and the greater whole. Even today, their teachings linger like a faint memory, reminding wanderers to seek stillness before seeking strength. And from that ancient stillness, another lineage softly emerges. 17. The Night Sisters of Dathomir Deep. Within the crimson mists of Dathomir lived the Night Sisters, wielders of a strange, shimmering magic, born from a unique bond with the Force. Their power was not like that of Jedi or Sith. It flowed through ritual, song, and sacred ichor that swirled like emerald smoke. They spoke with spirits, healed wounds, commanded illusions, and wove enchantments older than many civilizations. Though feared by outsiders, the Night Sisters understood the Force with raw, emotional clarity. They saw it as a wild and living river, not meant to be controlled, only shaped through intention and instinct. Their dark forests and moonlit gatherings carried an eerie serenity, like standing on the edge of a dream half remembered. And from those shadowed dreams, another truth begins to glow. 18. The Ordo Aspectu's Eternal Quest. Among the ancient Jedi existed a splinter group known as the Ordo Aspectu, seekers obsessed with the mystery of immortality through the Force. Their quest was not born of fear, but curiosity and hope. They believed that consciousness could transcend the boundaries of life, merging forever with the cosmic force. Their laboratories were peaceful sanctuaries, filled with soft blue light and quiet humming crystals. Though their ambitions troubled the Jedi Council, their intentions were gentle, rooted in wonder rather than greed. Over time, their order faded into obscurity, leaving behind nothing but cryptic holocrons and serene murals depicting the soul's journey beyond the physical. And in that fading mural, another path begins to reveal itself. 19. The Seekers of the Wills. Long before the Jedi chronicled their history, before the Republic etched its stories across the stars, there were the Wills, enigmatic beings said to observe the rise and fall of galaxies like ripples in a pond. The Seekers of the Wills were humble devotees who guarded ancient texts and whispered hymns honoring the cosmic force. They lived on sacred worlds like Jeddah, where pilgrims gathered beneath golden towers to feel the presence of something older than time. The Seekers believed every life contributed a verse to the galaxy's great song, and they protected these tales with quiet devotion. To stand among them was to feel the weight of eternity resting gently on one's shoulders. And from that timeless refuge, another thread of the Force begins to shimmer. 20. The Lasat mystics and the Ashla. Across the distant world of Lasan, Before tragedy fell upon their people, mystics known as the Lasat listened to the Force in ways both ancient and graceful. They called the light side Ashla, a comforting presence felt in the wind that swept across purple plains and the stars that shimmered over their stone cities. Through ritual staffs and rhythmic chants, Lasat seers trusted the Force to guide their steps, even when the path ahead was invisible. They believed that destiny was not a straight line, but a gentle curve, shaped by trust, hope, and the courage to walk forward. Their devotion carried a softness that resonated like a lullaby for the soul. And from that lullaby, the living Force begins to stir. 21. Breath to breath, life to life. The living Force isn't found in dusty archives or distant prophecies. It exists in every heartbeat, every gentle inhale shared with the world around us. Jedi who studied this aspect of the Force learned to focus not on the distant future, but on the present moment, where life unfolds one breath at a time. Qui-Gon Jinn was among its greatest advocates, teaching that awareness of the living Force allowed one to sense joy, pain, and possibility with profound clarity. It wasn't about power, but presence, feeling the vibrant pulse of existence flowing through every creature. In its warm embrace, even the busiest mind could find peace. And from that peaceful breath, the next lesson softly arises. 22. Instincts that guide the present. The living Force often speaks not through visions of distant futures, but through quiet instincts, those subtle nudges that whisper which path to take in the moment. Jedi who attune themselves to this living current learn to trust feelings beyond logic, a sense of danger before it appears, a spark of hope when all seems lost, or a pull towards someone in need. These instincts are not commands. They are gentle ripples in the Force, guiding without controlling. Many Jedi describe the experience as standing beside a calm river, listening, sensing its direction, and moving with its flow. When they surrender to this guidance, every action becomes harmonious, like a soft note placed perfectly within a song. And from that harmony, a deeper understanding quietly awakens. 23. Qui-Gon's path. Through the living stream. Among all the Jedi of the later Republic, Qui-Gon Jinn walked most closely with the living Force. He believed the present moment held more truth than any prophecy, more guidance than any council decree. In meditation, he would breathe deeply, allowing the living Force to wash over him like warm sunlight. This connection made him compassionate, intuitive, and unafraid to question tradition when it drifted away from true balance. His ability to sense life's subtle currents eventually opened the door to ancient knowledge once thought lost, the secret to preserving one's consciousness after death. Qui-Gon's path was gentle, rebellious, and full of wonder, reminding the galaxy that wisdom often begins with listening. And from his quiet footsteps, another reflection begins to take form. 24. The wisdom of listening. In a galaxy that often thundered with war, politics, and the clamor of ambition, the Force taught a simple truth. To hear its guidance, one must first become still. Jedi younglings learned this lesson early, sitting in circles with eyes closed as their teachers encouraged them to listen, not to commands, but to the breath of life around them. The rustling of leaves, the hum of temple fountains, the soft shifting of robes, all were echoes of connection. As they grew, they learned to listen not just with their ears, but with their hearts. Through this attentive quiet, the Force revealed insights more profound than any spoken doctrine. And in that gentle quiet, the next discovery slowly unfolds. 25. Creatures who stir the living Force. Throughout the galaxy, certain creatures seem to pulse with the living force in extraordinary ways. Some are small, tiny insects that glow softly beneath alien leaves, their presence calming travelers who rest nearby. Others are mighty, such as the great beasts of Felucia or the graceful flying creatures of Onderon, each resonating with a deep, ancient harmony. Jedi often sensed waves of emotion through these beings: joy, fear, curiosity, or quiet acceptance. To walk among them was to feel a surge of life so vivid and warm that even the weariest night could remember why they served the galaxy. These creatures remind all who meet them that the Force is not only cosmic, it is tender and alive. And from those living pulses, another truth begins to form. 26. The light that grows with compassion. The Force brightens when kindness is given freely. Compassion, gentle, steady, and sincere, has a way of expanding the living force around those who carry it. Jedi healers often said that compassion was the closest emotion to the Force itself, a feeling that aligned hearts with harmony and balance. When someone acted out of empathy, the Force responded like a warm lantern being lit in darkness. This light was not a weapon, nor a reward. It was a reflection, showing that care and understanding strengthen the very fabric of existence. Even the smallest act of grace could ripple across the galaxy, touching lives far beyond what the giver could ever know. And from that quiet ripple, another lesson softly rises. 27. The living force and healing. To heal through the Force is not merely to mend wounds. It is to listen deeply to the harmony that illness or injury has disturbed. Jedi healers place their hands gently upon those in need, feeling the currents of the living force swirl like warm water around them. They would breathe slowly, guiding those currents into places where balance had been lost. Sometimes healing came through touch, other times through presence alone, a calm aura that eased pain and fear. These healers understood that healing was not about control, but cooperation, working with the Force rather than shaping it. In their care, even the most troubled spirits often found rest. And from that restorative rest, the next reflection begins to glow. 28. Connected hearts. Across stars. The living force weaves invisible threads between beings, linking hearts across unimaginable distances. A Jedi might feel a friend's fear from light years away, or sense the quiet warmth of someone thinking kindly of them. These connections do not obey the rules of physics. They flow in moments of emotion, trust, and deep understanding. Parents feel them with their children. Lovers feel them when separated by vast nebulae. Even strangers can share a fleeting ripple of recognition, as if the Force is whispering, "You are not alone in this moment." These bonds remind every traveler that compassion travels faster than light, stretching from soul to soul without fading. And from those luminous threads, another truth gently unfolds. 29. Moments of pure presence. There are rare, precious moments when everything becomes still, when noise fades, worries soften, and the present moment feels wide and open. Jedi call these moments clarity points, places where the living force shines brightest. They might occur during meditation, or while watching a sunrise bloom across a quiet ocean, or even during the hush between heartbeats before a difficult choice. In these moments, the Force feels impossibly close, as if time itself pauses to breathe. Many Jedi kept journals filled with reflections on such experiences, cherishing them not for their power, but for their simplicity. For in pure presence, the galaxy reveals its gentlest truths, and from that serene stillness, the next insight begins to rise. 30. the living force, in times of peace. When the galaxy rests, when conflicts quiet and hope begins to blossom, the living force grows vibrant. It is felt in bustling markets, where laughter rings through warm air, in fields where children chase fireflies beneath twin moons, and in forests where animals nestle safely under starlit branches. Jedi who walk during these peaceful eras often feel the Force swirling playfully around them, brimming with life's joy. It reminds them that their purpose is not only to defend against darkness, but to appreciate the harmony they help protect. Peace, after all, is the natural state of the Force, a melody that plays beneath all things when fear no longer drowns it out. And from that gentle melody, a new chapter of the Force begins to awaken. 31. Where energy joins eternity. The cosmic force is the great ocean into which all living currents eventually return. When a life ends, its presence does not vanish. Instead, it dissolves into this vast, luminous sea, where memories become whispers and emotions soften into gentle waves. Jedi Masters describe the cosmic force as an endless horizon of light, peaceful, warm, and impossibly expansive. It is the final resting place of experience, where individuality becomes something greater and more serene. And yet, this eternal realm does not feel distant. It surrounds every planet, every star, every breath, offering comfort to those who sense its embrace. And from that eternal sea, a deeper mystery begins to shimmer. 32. The Great River After Death. To many cultures throughout the galaxy, the transition into the cosmic force is imagined as crossing a great river, a calm, slow-moving current that carries spirits toward unity. Jedi, who touch this mystery through meditation, often describe the sensation as floating weightlessly, as though the boundaries of the body dissolve and only awareness remains. Qui-Gon Jinn was the first in many generations to rediscover the path that allows consciousness to linger beside the river rather than merging instantly with it. Through compassion and deep understanding, he learned that identity could be preserved without clinging, allowing a soul to rest while still offering guidance. And from the edge of that gentle river, another truth softly calls. 33. Voices of those who came before. Within the cosmic force dwell the echoes of every being who has ever lived, each voice softened into calm resonance. Jedi who open themselves to this vast realm sometimes hear faint impressions, comforting whispers, gentle encouragement, or soft guidance from those long gone. These are not ghosts haunting the living, but ripples of wisdom carried by the Force itself. The ancient Force priestesses taught that these voices arise when the living are ready to listen, not when the departed wish to speak. For the cosmic Force is patient, offering its insights like leaves drifting on a quiet stream. And from those drifting whispers, the next revelation begins to rise. 34. Jedi becoming one with the Force. When a Jedi lives a life of harmony, compassion, and clarity, their transition into the cosmic Force becomes something gentle, like drifting into a warm, star-filled dream. Masters who achieve this rare state do not simply fade, they transform, becoming luminous threadwork woven into the galaxy's eternal tapestry. Their wisdom continues to ripple outward, guiding future generations in subtle ways. Yoda once described this moment as becoming part of the song, where identity softens but spirit grows brighter. The Jedi who vanish at death are not lost. They simply step into a quiet realm where the Force holds them with infinite care. And from that luminous passage, another mystery softly unfolds. 35. Paths through dreams and visions. The cosmic force often speaks through dreams, those drifting landscapes where logic loosens its grip and truth moves like water. Jedi who meditate deeply can sometimes slip into these visions, seeing glimpses of possibilities shaped by emotion and destiny. These dreams are rarely literal. Instead, they arrive as symbols, colors, and feelings that linger long after waking. A desert might represent longing. A quiet forest might symbolize healing. A distant star, a calling yet unanswered. Many Jedi keep quiet journals of these visions, knowing that the Force reveals understanding only when the heart is ready. In dreams, the cosmic force whispers truths too soft for waking ears. And from those dream-born whispers, another insight begins to glow. 36. Time as a gentle tide. To the cosmic force, time does not move in straight lines. It flows like a tide, sometimes retreating, sometimes returning, always shaped by the choices of living beings. This is why visions can show futures that never come to pass, and why memories can feel as vivid as the present moment. The past, the present, and the future touch one another in the cosmic force like ripples overlapping on a calm lake. Jedi who meditate deeply sometimes feel this fluidity, sensing moments not yet born or long faded. Yet the Force never forces certainty. It simply shows possibilities, allowing individuals to choose their own path. And from that flowing tide, the next chapter gently emerges. 37. The web of fate and possibility. In the realm of the cosmic force, fate is not a rigid path, but a shimmering web, constantly shifting with every choice made across the galaxy. Each life creates its own threads, some bright with hope, others darkened with sorrow, interwoven with countless others in a pattern too vast for any single mind to grasp. Jedi who sense this web often describe it as a gentle vibration, as though the Force is reminding them that destiny is shaped by countless hearts acting together. No path is ever fixed. Each decision sends ripples outward, adjusting the weave. This is why even the smallest act of kindness can change the future in quiet, unexpected ways. And from that delicate weave, another soft truth begins to rise. 38. Cosmic ripples from great events. When monumental events unfold, when a world is lost, when a hero rises, or when a great darkness is defeated, the Force trembles. These moments create vast ripples that travel across the galaxy, touching worlds that have never heard the names of those involved. Sensitive beings may feel a sudden chill, an unexplainable warmth, or a quiet ache in their spirit. During the fall of the Jedi, or the victory at Endor, many felt these echoes, even if they could not name their cause. The cosmic force reacts not with judgment, but with resonance, reflecting the emotional weight of history. Great joy, great sorrow, great change, all leave their mark upon the galaxy's luminous field. And from those distant echoes, another mystery begins to glow. 39. How the Force remembers. The Force remembers everything, not as written words or recorded data, but as impressions, feelings, and soft vibrations left behind by every life. A place where a great sacrifice occurred may feel peaceful or heavy. A world touched by ancient kindness may radiate warmth long after its caretakers are gone. Jedi have walked into forgotten battlefields and felt the lingering sorrow, as though the Force itself mourns alongside the living. But it also remembers joy, love, courage, and quiet acts of compassion that might otherwise be lost to time. In this way, the cosmic force becomes a gentle archive of emotion, carrying stories in silence. And from that silent memory, the next revelation quietly awakens. 40. the cosmic force in ancient prophecy. Across millennia, many cultures recorded quiet glimpses of the future. Visions gifted by the cosmic force in moments of deep connection. These prophecies were never meant as rigid scripts, but as gentle warnings or possibilities, shaped by emotion and intention. Some spoke of chosen ones, born beneath rare alignments of stars. Others predicted the rise of great harmony after long ages of conflict. The oldest prophecies were sung rather than written, their melodies drifting through sacred halls and echoing across pilgrim worlds like Jeddah. They reminded listeners that the future was fluid, shaped by compassion and courage more than fate. And from the echo of those ancient songs, the Jedi path begins to unfold. 41. Ashla, the light side's first name. Long before the Jedi adopted their modern teachings, early Force mystics called the light Ashla, a gentle presence that warmed the spirit like morning sunlight. To them, Ashla was not about rules or doctrine. It was the natural inclination toward harmony, healing, and understanding. They believed Ashla guided those who listened closely, encouraging unity rather than division. Early Jedi training halls often displayed symbols of swirling light to honor this primordial name, reminding initiates that the Force's brightness existed before any order or tradition. Ashla represented a beginning, a soft whisper of hope carried through the galaxy's earliest civilizations. And from that whisper of light, the Jedi way gently comes into focus. 42. Guardians of peace, not power. At the heart of Jedi philosophy lies a simple, serene truth. The Jedi exist to maintain peace, not to wield authority. Their training emphasizes calm reflection, patience, and service to others, rather than conquest or domination. A Jedi's greatest strength is often their ability to diffuse conflict before it ignites, guiding others toward understanding rather than fear. In temple gardens, younglings learn this through gentle lessons, settling disputes, listening to their peers, and sensing how their emotions ripple through the Force. The Order teaches that true power lies not in force of will, but in the ability to bring harmony where none existed. And from that gentle harmony, the next lesson softly awakens. 43. Serenity as a path to clarity. For the Jedi, serenity is not the absence of emotion. It is the gentle calming of the mind, like wind smoothing ripples across a quiet lake. In this stillness, the Force becomes easier to hear, its subtle flow revealing truths hidden behind fear or haste. Jedi Masters often teach younglings to breathe deeply, allowing each exhale to soften restless thoughts. Serenity opens the senses, guiding a Jedi to act with purpose rather than impulse. In this peaceful state, the galaxy feels more connected, more luminous, as though every star is offering a guiding light. Serenity is the bridge between heart and wisdom. And from that peaceful clarity, the next lesson softly emerges. 44. Letting go to see clearly. One of the most challenging teachings of the Jedi is the practice of letting go, releasing fear, possession, and the desire to control outcomes. Letting go is not forgetting or abandoning what one loves. It is accepting that all things change, like leaves drifting on an autumn breeze. Through this acceptance, the Force becomes clearer, revealing paths that anxiety once concealed. Jedi who master this teaching move through the galaxy with a gentle confidence, trusting the Force to guide them where they are needed. In letting go, they make room for peace to enter, and from that quiet surrender, a deeper reflection begins to glow. 45. The Jedi Code's quiet wisdom. The Jedi Code is often recited like poetry, a flowing mantra meant to soothe the spirit and align the mind with balance. There is no emotion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. Each line invites contemplation, encouraging Jedi to approach life with humility, compassion, and clarity. The code is not a rigid commandment, but a gentle guide, a lantern held up in darkness to show the way forward. Many Jedi repeat the code during meditation, allowing its cadence to settle their thoughts until the Force's whispers become audible once more. In its calm wisdom, the code becomes a companion to all who walk the path. And from that guiding lantern, the next chapter quietly awakens. 46. Lightsabers as extensions of spirit. A lightsaber is often seen as a weapon, but to the Jedi, it is something far more intimate. Forged through meditation and bonded with a living kyber crystal, it becomes an extension of one's spirit, an expression of clarity, discipline, and harmony. The blade reflects its wielder's inner balance, shining brightest when the heart is calm and intentions pure. During training, younglings learn that the lightsaber is not meant for aggression, but for protection and understanding. Its hum is a reminder of the Force flowing through all things, a gentle vibration that steadies the mind. In the glow of a saber, a Jedi feels connected to their past, their purpose, and the silent song of the kyber within. And from that steady glow, another gentle truth begins to rise. 47. Meditation among the stars. For Jedi who travel the galaxy, meditation becomes a constant companion, a sanctuary found even in the farthest reaches of hyperspace. Many seek quiet observation domes, where stars spill across transparisteel windows like glittering rivers of light. In these moments of stillness, they allow the Force to wash through them, clearing the dust of conflict from their minds. Some meditate in silence, others chant soft mantras that echo like distant winds. The stars remind them of the galaxy's vastness, its endless stories, and the humble role they play within it. Through meditation, the Jedi return to center, their hearts steady and open once more. And from this starlit calm, the next reflection gently unfolds. 48. Compassion over control. At the core of the Jedi path lies compassion, the ability to feel deeply for others without seeking to dominate or shape their choices. True compassion asks nothing in return. It is offered freely, like water flowing over smooth stones. Jedi learned that attempting to control people, events, or emotions only leads to fear and imbalance. But compassion softens those edges, allowing connection to blossom where division once grew. In helping others without expectation, a Jedi strengthens the living Force, creating ripples of goodwill that echo far beyond the moment. Through compassion, they embody the light that brings warmth to even the darkest corners of the galaxy. And from that gentle warmth, the next chapter of wisdom begins to awaken. 49. Why the Jedi serve the galaxy. The Jedi do not serve for glory, rank, or recognition. They serve because they feel the quiet ache of the galaxy's suffering as if it were their own. Through their deep connection to the Force, they sense the ripple of every frightened whisper, every hopeful spark, every plea that rises from distant stars. Service becomes a natural response, like healing a wound or steadying a faltering flame. Jedi teachings remind them that true strength is found in uplifting others, easing burdens, and guiding without judgment. Their purpose is to be an instrument of balance, offering peace where chaos threatens to spread. And from that devotion to peace, the next inner teaching begins to glow. 50. Balance within the self. Before a Jedi can bring harmony to the galaxy, they must first find harmony within themselves. Balance is not the suppression of emotion, nor the rigid denial of fear or anger. It is the gentle awareness of these feelings, allowing them to exist without letting them steer the heart. Meditation, reflection, and discipline help Jedi understand their inner storms, learning to breathe through them until clarity returns. This balance becomes a soft center, a guiding anchor even in the midst of conflict. Through it, they see the world without distortion, moving with purpose rather than impulse. And from that inner stillness, a shadowed philosophy quietly approaches. 51. Bogan, the first name of darkness. Long before the term dark side took root in the galaxy's collective memory, early mystics knew the shadowed current of the Force as Bogan. It was not always seen as evil, only as a force of raw emotion, untempered instinct, and unchecked passion. Bogan represented the pull of desire, fear, anger, and ambition, all powerful currents that could easily overwhelm the unprepared mind. Ancient teachings warned that dwelling too long in Bogan was like staring into a storm, mesmerizing but dangerous. Yet this early name reminds us that darkness has always existed as part of the Force's natural spectrum, waiting to be understood or resisted. And from that ancient shadow, the path of the Sith begins to take shape. 52. The ancient Sith species. Long before the Sith became an order of dark side practitioners, the word Sith belonged to a red-skinned, powerfully Force-attuned species native to the world of Korriban. They lived among crimson cliffs and winding tombs, their culture shaped by ritual, passion, and reverence for strength. Though fierce in battle, they also honored wisdom and tradition, carving their memories into stone so future generations would never forget their stories. When exiled Dark Jedi eventually arrived on Korriban, the two groups merged, blending mysticism with ambition. This union birthed the Sith Order as history remembers it, built upon ancient customs and the fiery emotions of a people who felt the Force like a storm in their veins. And from that storm, the next lesson in darkness softly unfurls. 53. Passion as the source of strength. To the Sith, passion is not a weakness. It is the spark that ignites will, power, and purpose. They believe that emotions, when embraced fully, unlock the deeper currents of the Force. Rage sharpens focus. Fear fuels instinct. Desire drives ambition. But beneath these turbulent waters lies a truth often forgotten. Every emotion, even the darker ones, begins as something vulnerable. A wound, a longing, a dream unfulfilled. Sith philosophy teaches its followers to seize these emotions and shape them into strength, refusing to be ruled by restraint or serenity. Yet in their pursuit of power, many lose sight of the balance that gives passion meaning. And from that burning spark, another piece of the Sith path emerges. 54. The rule of two's grim wisdom. Centuries after the Sith Order collapsed under the weight of their own ambition, Darth Bane forged a new path, one built on stark simplicity. Two there should be. No more, no less. A master to embody the power of the dark side, and an apprentice to crave it. This rule of two was meant to eliminate infighting, focusing the Sith's strength into a single, hidden lineage that would wait patiently for the right moment to rise. Though forged in darkness, the rule carried a certain grim wisdom. Power diluted is power wasted. But power concentrated becomes destiny. In the shadows between stars, the Sith preserve their secrets through this quiet, ruthless tradition. And from those secrets, the next shadowed truth drifts forward. 55. The allure of forbidden knowledge. The Sith have always been drawn to the hidden corners of the Force, the mysteries the Jedi avoided, the secrets sealed away in dusty holocrons, the rituals whispered by long-vanished civilizations. To them, forbidden knowledge is not something to fear, but a gateway into deeper power. Ancient Sith masters wandered forgotten tomb worlds, studying runes carved by cultures older than memory. They believed that the Force revealed its greatest truths only to those bold enough to seek them, regardless of consequence. Yet this hunger came with a quiet danger. The more they uncovered, the more the darkness coiled around their hearts, whispering promises of mastery. And from those whispered promises, another shadow begins to shape itself. 56. Sith temples in shadowed worlds. Scattered across the galaxy, the Sith built temples on worlds where the dark side pooled like deep water. These structures rose from volcanic stone, obsidian cliffs, or cavernous depths where the air seemed to tremble with ancient energy. Inside their halls, torches flickered with crimson flame, casting long shadows across walls carved with prophecies of power. Yet despite their fearsome appearance, these temples were also places of contemplation, sanctuaries where Sith acolytes meditated on desire, ambition, and the nature of strength. The silence within them felt heavy, as though the Force itself watched with unblinking eyes. Many who entered felt an unsettling mix of dread and awe, like standing on the edge of a vast abyss. And from that silent abyss, another truth stirs beneath the surface. 57. Rage as a distortion of the Force. To the Sith, rage is a tool, sharp, fierce, and intoxicating. But to the Jedi, it is a powerful distortion, bending the natural flow of the Force into something turbulent and unstable. Rage burns hot, granting immense strength in an instant, but like a wildfire, it consumes without restraint. Those who draw upon it often feel a sudden clarity, followed by a slow unraveling as emotion overtakes intuition. Jedi masters teach that anger clouds perception, hiding the gentle guidance of the Force behind storms of raw feeling. Even the Sith, in rare moments of reflection, acknowledge that rage demands a heavy price, one paid not in battle, but in the quiet moments afterward, when the fire fades. And from the fading embers, the next dark lesson begins to rise. 58. Artifacts that echo with darkness. Across ancient tombs and forgotten worlds, the Sith left behind artifacts steeped in centuries of concentrated emotion. Holocrons carved from obsidian prismed with red light, amulets etched with spiraling sigils, and blades forged in rituals that bound the wielder's spirit to the dark side. These relics hum softly, as though remembering the hands that once held them, whispering remnants of ambition or sorrow. Jedi who recover such items treat them with caution, for the darkness within is not malicious. It is magnetic. It pulls at the mind's deepest fears and desires, offering clarity that is sharp but cold. Even untouched, these artifacts feel like echoes of storms long past. And from those lingering storms, a quieter truth begins to glow. 59. The tragedy behind Sith. Ideology. Beneath the Sith, philosophy of strength and power, lies a quieter, often forgotten truth. Most Sith begin their journey from a place of pain. Loss, fear, rejection, or deep longing ignite the emotions they later cling to for strength. They believe passion will protect them from future hurt, forming armor where others might seek healing. Yet this armor becomes a cage, isolating them from the very connection they desire. In their pursuit of power, many Sith lose the ability to trust, to love, to feel peace. Their path, though fierce, is often profoundly lonely. And it is within that loneliness that the true tragedy of the Sith quietly resides. And from that quiet sorrow, the final lesson of darkness drifts forward. 60. Why the dark side consumes. The dark side consumes not because it is evil by nature, but because it feeds on imbalance. When fear, hatred, or desire are embraced without restraint, they spiral endlessly, demanding more strength, more control, more certainty. The power it grants is real, swift, intoxicating, and fiercely alive, but it burns like a star on the verge of collapse. Sith who embrace it fully often feel unstoppable at first, only to later find their emotions ruling them rather than the other way around. The dark side offers shortcuts, but not sustainability, power, but not harmony. Its nature is to expand until it eclipses everything else. And from that realization, the path back toward balance begins to appear. 61. Bendu, the one in the middle. In a realm between extremes, where neither light nor dark holds dominion, dwells the ancient being known as the Bendu. Described as the one in the middle, the Bendu embodies the natural balance of the Force, calm as a drifting cloud, yet powerful as a storm forming on a distant horizon. Those who encountered him felt the weight of ages in his voice, a rumbling echo that carried both wisdom and unpredictability. The Bendu did not choose sides, he simply was. To him, the Force was not a battlefield, but a living organism with many currents, all deserving respect. His presence reminded seekers that balance is not found in extremes, but in the quiet space between them. And from that middle path, a new way of seeing softly awakens. 62. Balance beyond light and dark. Many believe the Force is divided into two halves, light and dark, Ashla and Bogan. But those who walk the gray path see a spectrum far more intricate. They understand that life contains both calm and emotion, serenity and passion, shadow and radiance. Instead of rejecting one side to embrace the other, they strive to accept the whole, integrating every part of their nature with mindful intention. To them, balance is not the absence of darkness, but the harmony between all inner forces. This philosophy encourages honesty, introspection, and humility, teaching that true stability comes not from purity, but from understanding. And from this gentle understanding, another quiet teaching begins to rise. 63. The Lasat way of the Ashla and the Bogan. The Lasat people, with their deep spiritual traditions, saw the Force as two guiding winds. Ashla, the light that nurtures growth, and Bogan, the shadow that challenges and shapes the soul. They believed a warrior should learn to move with both winds, neither fearing nor worshiping either side. Through rhythmic chants and ceremonial staff work, Lasat mystics balanced their emotions like dancers poised between sunrise and nightfall. For them, darkness was not an enemy. It was a teacher, revealing places where strength needed to grow. Their culture embraced the idea that every being walked a unique path between Ashla and Bogan, guided by intuition rather than rigid doctrine. And from those guiding winds, the next insight begins to whisper. 64. Force philosophy beyond dogma. In the quiet corners of the galaxy, far from Jedi temples and Sith fortresses, there are wanderers who follow the Force without creed or hierarchy. These individuals do not take oaths, swear loyalty, or seek titles. Instead, they listen to the currents of the Force in their own way, guided by intuition, experience, and the soft pull of their hearts. Some are healers, traveling from village to village. Others are hermits, meditating beneath ancient trees where the Force flows strongest. Their philosophy is simple. The Force is a companion, not a master, a path, not a prison. They teach that peace comes from listening inward, beyond dogma, beyond fear, beyond the noise of the galaxy. And from this gentle freedom, another lesson quietly emerges. 65. Neutrality as a teaching of wisdom. True neutrality is not indifference. It is the recognition that rushing toward either extreme can blind the heart. Those who walk the neutral path understand that light without grounding can become rigid, and darkness without restraint becomes consuming. By observing both, they learn patience, humility, and perspective. Such individuals rarely intervene unless truly necessary, allowing the Force to guide events naturally. Their wisdom often comes from watching the flow of life unfold without forcing its direction. Like calm water reflecting the sky, neutrality provides clarity. It offers a vantage point where the world can be seen as it truly is, not as fear or desire paints it. And from that clear vantage, another reflection begins to take shape. 66. The quiet path of the wanderers. Some who feel the Force choose not to join any order at all. They become wanderers, drifting from system to system, helping where needed, learning where they can. These wanderers live lightly, carrying only what they need and letting the Force guide their steps like a soft breeze across starlit dunes. They believe that every encounter, every stranger, every creature, every unexpected moment is a teacher. Their wisdom is gathered not from holocrons or councils, but from life itself. In their gentle journeys, the Force becomes less a power and more a companion, walking beside them like an old friend. And from those wandering footsteps, the next truth begins to rise. 67. Moments of equilibrium. Across the galaxy, there are rare moments when everything seems to settle, when the air grows still, the heart grows quiet, and the Force feels perfectly balanced. These moments of equilibrium can appear anywhere. On a mountaintop at dawn, inside a crowded starport humming with life, or even in the hush before a difficult decision. Those attuned to the Force feel these moments like gentle pauses in the flow of time, opportunities to breathe deeply and recognize the unity beneath all things. In equilibrium, light and shadow no longer compete. They simply coexist. Jedi, Sith, and wanderers alike have experienced this serene balance, even if only for an instant. And from that fleeting harmony, another quiet truth begins to take shape. 68. Nature as a teacher of balance. Many Force traditions, old and new, look to nature for guidance. In the swaying of trees, they see flexibility. In the movement of rivers, they learn persistence. In the rising and setting of suns, they witness renewal. Nature does not question whether to be light or dark. It simply is, shifting with the seasons, adapting to change, and finding balance without effort. Jedi often visited lush worlds to meditate, letting the songs of insects and the rustling of leaves remind them of the Force's natural rhythm. Even the Sith, in their own way, studied storms, seeing in their fury the raw truth of emotion. Nature whispers lessons to all who listen, and from those whispered lessons, another gentle insight softly awakens. 69. The middle path, in times of war. In eras of great conflict, when the galaxy trembles beneath armies and empires, the middle path becomes more difficult and more essential. Those who walk between extremes serve as bridges, easing fear, offering compassion, and reminding both sides of their shared humanity. They do not deny the presence of darkness, nor do they cling blindly to the light. Instead, they seek to understand the emotions that drive conflict, offering calm where turmoil reigns. Though often overlooked, these quiet mediators prevent countless tragedies simply by listening. Their courage lies not in battle, but in empathy, and their light shines softly in the shadows cast by war. And from that soft light, the next chapter gently approaches. 70. The peace found between extremes. True peace, many Force mystics say, lives not at the far ends of light or dark, but in the quiet space in between. This peace is not loud or triumphant. It is subtle, like drifting mist or a soft hand resting on the heart. Those who find it speak of feeling whole, embracing their joys and fears without letting either define them. In this gentle middle ground, the Force feels less like a current to follow and more like a companion walking beside them. Decisions become clearer, emotions flow naturally, and the galaxy's noise fades to a distant hum. The peace between extremes is fragile, yet deeply comforting, like a candle shielding its flame from the wind. And from that delicate glow, we drift now to the sacred worlds shaped by the Force. 71. Ahch-To, cradle of the first Jedi. Among endless oceans and towering cliffs lies Ahch-To, the birthplace of the earliest Jedi teachings. Its islands are dotted with ancient spires, soft green moss, and stone huts carved long before modern history began. Here, the Force feels old, ancient in a way that humbles even the wisest masters. The waves crash with a steady rhythm, as though echoing the heartbeat of the living Force itself. Pilgrims who journey to Ahch to describe a sense of profound stillness, as if the world is inviting them to breathe more deeply. It is a place for reflection, for release, and for rediscovering balance. And from that serene ocean air, another sacred world begins to shimmer into view. 72. Elam, the crystal planet. Far across the galaxy, hidden beneath snow-laden mountains and shimmering ice caverns, lies Elam, a world where the Force sings through kyber crystals buried deep within the earth. For generations, Jedi younglings traveled here to undergo the Gathering, a rite of passage in which each must find the crystal that resonates with their spirit. Inside Elam's glowing caves, the air hums softly, as though the planet itself is breathing ancient wisdom into those who listen. The light refracted through crystal pillars creates brilliant, shifting patterns that dance across the stone, evoking a sense of wonder and calm. Elam reminds all who enter that the Force shines brightest when sought with patience and courage. And from that crystalline glow, the next sacred world softly beckons. 73. Mortis, the realm beyond time. Hidden somewhere beyond the edges of known space lies Mortis, a place not bound by the rules of reality. Here, the Force takes form in living avatars: the daughter, embodying the light; the son, embodying the dark; and the father, who seeks balance between them. Travelers who arrive on Mortis describe its landscapes as shifting dreamscapes, mountains that breathe, skies that change with emotion, and shadows that stretch like memories. Time flows strangely, moments stretching or collapsing like drifting clouds. Mortis is not a planet, but a reflection of the Force itself, revealing truths too vast for ordinary space. And from this realm of living symbolism, another sacred world rises from the fog. 74. Jeddah, the pilgrim moon. Jeddah, with its golden sands and towering monasteries, has long been a destination for those seeking spiritual clarity. The Force pulses through its ancient stones, guiding pilgrims from distant systems to gather beneath the pale glow of its holy sky. whispered prayers, drift across bustling markets, mingling with the scent of incense burning in old temples. Guardians of the wills protect its sacred sites, watching over those who seek deeper understanding of the cosmic energy binding all life. Even in times of conflict, Jeddah remains a beacon, its people united by faith that the Force is present in all beings, no matter their path. And from that pilgrim moon, another primordial world begins to call softly. 75. Ossus, the Jedi's ancient sanctuary. Long before towering temples rose on Coruscant, the Jedi gathered their knowledge on Ossus, a quiet world of rolling plains and serene valleys. Libraries carved from sun-warmed stone held scrolls and holocrons containing the earliest philosophies of the Order. The Force flows gently here, like a warm breeze carrying the scent of wildflowers across peaceful fields. Many masters traveled to Ossus during transitional moments in their lives, seeking clarity among its tranquil hills. Though the world suffered great loss over the centuries, its spirit remains resilient, its soil still humming with echoes of wisdom, learning, and renewal. Ossus reminds all who visit that knowledge and peace grow hand in hand. And from those ancient libraries, the next tale of the Force begins to unfold. 76. Dagobah, the swamp of quiet power. Though it appears wild, tangled, and untouched by civilization, Dagobah is one of the most profoundly Force-rich worlds in the galaxy. Life thrives in every shadowed pool and hanging vine, creating a perfect sanctuary for those who seek the living Force's gentle whispers. To many, the swamp feels alive, not just with creatures, but with intention, guiding wanderers toward the lessons they need most. Yoda chose this world not only for its isolation, but because its natural chaos balanced his quiet wisdom. Here, the Force does not speak with clarity, but with emotion, instinct, and subtle echoes. Dagobah teaches patience, humility, and surrender. And from the heart of that living swamp, another sacred world begins to shimmer into view. 77. Lothal, a world in tune with destiny. Lothal is a place where the Force breathes boldly, where grassy plains sway like silver seas, ancient temples hide beneath rolling hills, and the horizon stretches endlessly beneath pale, watchful skies. The planet responds to the choices of its people, shifting subtly with the tides of destiny. Its mysterious Jedi temple is known to appear and vanish, revealing itself only when the Force wills it. Within its walls, seekers encounter visions shaped uniquely for them, as though the planet itself is offering guidance. Lothal resonates with the hope of the future and the wisdom of the past, standing as a reminder that the Force listens as much as it speaks. And from those listening plains, the next mysterious world calls softly from the shadows. 78. Korriban, Valley of the Dark Lords. Korriban, with its sun-scorched cliffs and crimson sands, is steeped in the heavy presence of the dark side. Once home to the ancient Sith species, its valleys are lined with monumental tombs carved deep into the rock, silent guardians of forgotten power. The air feels thick, as though burdened with the weight of centuries of ambition, sorrow, and fury. Yet the stillness here is profound, offering a haunting reverence to those who dare explore its depths. Travelers often report hearing faint whispers riding the desert winds, echoes of long-departed rulers who shaped the galaxy from shadows. Korriban stands as a reminder that even in darkness, the Force flows, deep, powerful, and unyielding. And from that shadowed valley, another revelation waits to rise. 79. The world between worlds. Hidden beyond physical space and linear time exists a mysterious dimension known as the world between worlds, a realm of starlit pathways, echoing whispers, and doorways leading to moments scattered across eternity. Those who enter find themselves weightless, suspended among swirling constellations that feel at once infinite and intimate. The Force flows here in its purest form, revealing the interconnectedness of every life, every choice, every heartbeat. Voices from distant eras drift through the luminous corridors like gentle breezes, offering wisdom without form. Though tempting to explore, the world between worlds teaches restraint, reminding seekers that time is fragile and that intervention must be guided by compassion, not control. And from that timeless realm, another sacred planet glows softly in the dark. 80. Tython, the birthplace of balance. Long before Jedi or Sith existed, ancient scholars traveled to Tython, a world where the Force surged in powerful, unpredictable waves. Its twin moons, Ashla and Bogan, cast symbolic light and shadow across the landscape, shaping early philosophies about balance. Storms of raw energy swept across its plains, challenging pilgrims to listen deeply and act with intention rather than impulse. Temples carved into mountain ridges stand as monuments to those early seekers who studied both serenity and passion, harmony and conflict. Tython's history reminds us that the Force was never meant to be claimed. It was meant to be understood, honored, and approached with humility. And from this ancient cradle of balance, another world of wisdom begins to rise. 81. Naboo, a subtle world of harmony. Though not traditionally seen as a mystical world, Naboo holds a quiet resonance with the living Force. Its rolling grasslands, shimmering lakes, and peaceful underwater cities create a natural harmony that nourishes those who walk its shores. Many Jedi visiting Naboo describe feeling unusually calm, as though the planet itself encourages reflection and compassion. Life thrives here in gentle cycles, from the singing birds along the cliffs to the glowing aquatic creatures moving beneath serene waters. Naboo shows that the Force is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it speaks through beauty, balance, and the simple joy of being alive. And from that gentle beauty, the next truth slowly awakens. 82. The Force in everyday life. Though legends speak of great battles and ancient prophecies, the Force is felt most often in small, quiet moments. It stirs in the laughter of children, playing beneath open skies, in the kindness shared between strangers, and in the instinct that guides a weary traveler toward a safe path. Farmers feel it in the soil beneath their hands. Pilots sense it in the calm before a jump to hyperspace. Even those without sensitivity brush against it every day without realizing. The Force is not reserved for heroes or mystics. It is the subtle pulse within all living things, connecting life in ways too gentle to measure. And from these everyday ripples, another reflection begins to emerge. 83. The Force as a mirror of the heart. To many philosophers, the Force is not merely an energy field. It is a mirror reflecting the inner truth of each individual. When the heart is calm, the Force feels clear and bright, like moonlight on still water. When fear rises, the Force may feel turbulent, echoing the storm within. This mirroring does not punish or reward. It simply reveals. Through this reflection, seekers learn to understand themselves more deeply, uncovering hidden desires, quiet wounds, and unspoken hopes. In this way, the Force becomes both teacher and companion, guiding individuals toward growth through honest self-awareness. And from that inner honesty, another truth quietly unfolds. 84. The balance. Each being creates. Every living creature, whether aware of the force or not, contributes to its balance. A kind action creates light that ripples outward. A moment of cruelty leaves a darker trace. Most beings create these ripples unknowingly, shaping the galaxy in ways they will never see. Jedi teach that balance is not a final state, but a living equation, constantly shifting as hearts change and choices unfold. Even small acts, like comforting a friend or showing patience in conflict, help align the force toward harmony. In this sense, the galaxy's destiny is written not only by great figures, but by countless quiet lives. And from those countless lives, the next revelation gently approaches. 85. Destiny as a living current. Destiny, in the eyes of many Force mystics, is not a fixed path written in stone, but a flowing current, shifting, bending, and responding to every heartbeat. Some lives seem touched more strongly by this current, pulled toward certain choices or encounters as though guided by unseen hands. Yet even these individuals retain their freedom, for destiny offers direction, not certainty. Like a river that suggests a course, but allows the traveler to paddle where they will. The force nudges without demanding. Those who sense this current learn to trust their intuition, feeling the quiet pull toward moments meant for them. And from this drifting sense of purpose, another reflection softly rises. 86. Legacy, echoing through the force. Every life leaves an imprint on the force, a subtle resonance that lingers long after breath has faded. Heroes, scholars, wanderers, and even those who lived quiet, unremarkable lives contribute to the galaxy's great tapestry. Their choices ripple outward through generations, shaping futures they could never imagine. Jedi believe that legacy is not defined by fame or triumph, but by compassion, growth, and the impact one leaves on others' hearts. In this way, a gentle act of kindness may echo more powerfully through the Force than the loudest victory. Legacy becomes a soft melody carried across stars, woven into the ever-living current. And from that enduring melody, another truth glimmers in the dark. 87. The Force as eternal presence. The Force is not bound by the rise and fall of civilizations, the shifting of empires, or the passage of time. It existed before the first suns ignited, and it will remain long after the last stories fade into memory. Across ages, its presence is constant, sometimes loud and luminous, sometimes faint as a whispered memory. Those who meditate upon its eternity often describe a profound calm, as though touching something far older and wiser than themselves. In its boundless expanse, the Force holds the echoes of every life, every emotion, every hope. It is the quiet thread that stitches the galaxy together, offering comfort to all who listen. And from that eternal thread, the next gentle meditation begins to awaken. 88. The Force, in moments of stillness. Some of the deepest truths of the Force reveal themselves not during great battles or visions, but in quiet, unremarkable moments. A lone traveler pausing beside a creek. A child listening to rain against a roof tile. A starship pilot sitting in the cockpit long after everyone else has gone to sleep. In these pockets of stillness, the Force becomes tangible, gentle, steady, familiar. It is felt as a soft warmth in the chest, or a heaviness in the air that invites reflection. Many Jedi Masters believe these simple moments are the galaxy's way of reminding every being that peace is never far away, waiting patiently beneath the surface of daily life. And from that stillness, another reflection begins to rise. 89. How the Force responds to hope. Hope is one of the brightest sparks a living being can generate, and the Force responds to it like a flower turning toward the sun. Even in times of despair, a single hopeful thought can ripple outward, strengthening connections and inspiring courage. Entire star systems have been uplifted by one individual choosing faith over fear. The Force amplifies these moments, not through miraculous flashes of power, but through gentle encouragement felt in the hearts of others. Hope nurtures the living force, lighting paths through uncertainty. It is a quiet promise whispered across stars that even in the darkest night, dawn still waits. And from that promise of dawn, another gentle truth unfolds. 90. The Force as guide, not master. Though many revere the Force, the wisest understand it does not demand obedience. It offers subtle guidance, a feeling, an intuition, a tug toward compassion or patience, but the choice always remains with the individual. Jedi, Sith, wanderers, and ordinary beings alike shape their paths through the dance between free will and the Force's soft suggestions. This balance is essential. Without choice, there can be no growth. Without guidance, there can be no harmony. The Force invites each being to walk their journey with awareness, listening to the quiet voice within without surrendering their agency. And from that gentle interplay of choice and guidance, our final reflections begin to gather. 91. The Force and the wisdom of listening. In every era, the wisest seekers discover that the Force speaks most clearly when one listens deeply, beyond noise, beyond fear, beyond the rush of thought. Listening to the Force is not merely hearing, it is sensing the undercurrent of truth beneath every moment. It is the quiet intuition that nudges someone to help a stranger, or the subtle warning that urges caution on a darkened path. Many Jedi Masters spent hours in meditation, not to silence the world, but to hear it more fully. Through listening, they came to understand that the Force is always speaking, softly, patiently, waiting to be heard. And from this deep listening, another gentle revelation unfolds. 92. Harmony between all living things. Harmony is the natural rhythm of the galaxy, the steady pulse that flows when beings act with compassion, respect, and understanding. When life moves in harmony, the Force feels warm and expansive, as though the stars themselves are breathing peacefully. This harmony does not mean uniformity. It blossoms through diversity, through countless voices adding their unique notes to the cosmic melody. Jedi often speak of being part of this music, sensing how their choices contribute to the galaxy's greater song. Even small gestures, a shared smile, a moment of forgiveness, an offering of help, restore harmony where it has been disturbed. And from that gentle music, another truth rises like dawn over distant worlds. 93. The light that lives within the Force surrounds every living being, but it also shines from within, like a lantern carried deep inside the heart. This inner light is not tied to power or mastery. It is the quiet goodness that emerges in moments of kindness, bravery, and empathy. Even those who never touch the Force consciously can feel this inner glow when they choose compassion over fear. It is the part of every being that reaches out, that forgives, that hopes. And though darkness may cloud the mind or weigh upon the spirit, this inner light never fully fades. It waits patiently to be rekindled, guiding each soul back toward balance. And from that ever-present glow, the next reflection softly ignites. 94. The Force and the courage to change is one of the Force's quietest lessons. Soft, subtle, and often disguised as discomfort. The Force encourages growth, not through demands, but through gentle invitations to step beyond what is familiar. A shift in perspective, a moment of vulnerability, a choice to forgive. These small acts of courage ripple outward, altering futures in ways unseen. Jedi often reflected on how change mirrors the natural world. Stars are born and die, rivers carve new paths, seasons drift across planets in steady cycles. Through these patterns, the Force reminds beings that change is not something to fear. It is simply the next step in a long, unfolding journey. And from this acceptance of growth, another quiet insight begins to glow. 95. The Force in acts of compassion. Compassion is among the purest expressions of the Force, a bridge between hearts, a balm for suffering, a spark of healing in moments of fear or sorrow. When one person chooses kindness, even in difficult circumstances, the Force responds like a warm breeze, carrying that gentle act farther than anyone might imagine. Jedi healers often said the Force flowed most strongly when used to ease pain rather than to fight. A comforting word, a shared meal, or a hand extended in peace can mend wounds that no blade or blaster could touch. Through compassion, the galaxy becomes smaller, softer, and more connected. And from that soft connection, another truth quietly rises. 96. Darkness as a teacher of strength. Though many fear the dark moments in life, the times of loss, doubt, or deep uncertainty, there are those who believe these shadows carry lessons of their own. Darkness reveals where strength must grow, where healing is needed, and where courage sleeps. The key is not to surrender to the shadow, but to listen to what it shows. Many Jedi learned that facing their fears did not make them weak. It made them whole. Even the gray wanderers saw value in struggle, understanding that nighttime gives stars their chance to shine. Darkness, when met with patience and self-awareness, becomes a teacher, guiding one toward deeper resilience. And from that resilient heart, the final reflections draw near. 97. The Force in the bonds we share. Some believe the Force is felt most strongly in the connections between living beings. Friendships forged in hardship, families bound by love, and strangers united in moments of shared purpose. These bonds create luminous threads that span light years, allowing compassion, empathy, and understanding to flow across unimaginable distances. Jedi sense these connections like gentle vibrations, knowing that every relationship strengthens the living Force. Even when individuals are far apart, the bond remains, glowing softly like a star seen across the void. Through these ties, the Force whispers that no being is ever truly alone, and from that glowing connection, the next reflection begins to warm the heart. 98. The Force and the journey inward. While many search the galaxy for wisdom, some of the deepest truths of the Force are found by turning inward. Meditation, quiet contemplation, or simply breathing in the stillness of a calm night can reveal insights hidden beneath layers of worry or doubt. The inward journey teaches patience, honesty, and understanding. It reminds seekers that the Force flows through them as surely as it flows through stars and oceans. By exploring their inner landscape, individuals discover strengths they didn't know they possessed and heal wounds they never realized were shaping their choices. In this gentle introspection, the boundary between self and the Force begins to fade. And from that inner discovery, the final truth approaches like dawn. 99. The Force and the cycle of renewal. All things in the galaxy move through cycles, beginnings, endings, and the quiet spaces in between. Stars ignite, shine, and fade. Civilizations rise and fall. Lives intertwine, blossom, and transform. Through every cycle, the Force remains constant, guiding each transition with quiet patience. Renewal is one of its most comforting teachings. No ending is final. No loss is absolute. And from every shadow, new light eventually emerges. This rhythm teaches resilience, reminding beings that the galaxy is always unfolding, always healing, always becoming. Renewal is the promise that peace will return even after the longest night. And from that promise of renewal, our final reflection gently awaits. 100. The Force as the breath of the galaxy. In the quietest moments, when stars shimmer like distant lanterns and the galaxy settles into its nightly hush, the Force can be felt as a gentle breath moving through all things. It flows through forests and oceans, through cities and empty deserts, through every heartbeat and every drifting mote of stardust. To sense it is to feel held, cradled by something ancient, patient, and endlessly kind. The Force reminds us that life continues even when we rest, that hope endures even when we sleep, and that every soul is part of a story far larger than itself. As this breath moves softly around you, let your thoughts drift, your spirit calm, and your dreams open like petals beneath moonlight. And from this final whisper of the Force, peace gently settles over the galaxy and over you. And as our journey through the galaxy comes to rest, may the Force bring balance to your mind and peace to your dreams. You've traveled through ancient worlds tonight, through shadows, light, and everything in between. You've listened to the hum of kyber crystals, the whispers of the cosmic force, and the soft teachings hidden in the quiet moments of life. If these stories helped you drift into the stars, I'd be honored if you'd like, subscribe, and share which Star Wars era you'd love to fall asleep to next. And when you're ready to keep dreaming, just tap the end screen to begin your next bedtime voyage. Another peaceful night beneath twin suns or among faraway moons. Until then, rest well, traveler. Let the Force cradle your spirit as gently as starlight on a calm, endless night. The galaxy is quiet now, and the Force will guide your dreams.